Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Former executives at the failed construction and services giant Carillion have apologised for the company's collapse, but they denied claims by MPs that they were asleep at the wheel. The firm, which employed 20,000 people in the UK, went into liquidation last month. Today, the company's former directors faced a committee of MPs to explain what they'd known about its financial position. Our business editor, Simon Jack, reports.
Summoned to Westminster, Carillion's top brass. Philip Green was chairman of the board when the company collapsed, and he started with an apology.
I would say I am deeply sorry for the impact that the collapse of the company had on employees, pensioners, customers, suppliers and all stakeholders.
So what went wrong? Zafar Khan was finance director. He said hundreds of millions was owed by Middle East customers, projects hit trouble, and then new business dried up.
We had some contracts that we were preferred bidders for, but they continued to drift out to the right because of the Brexit-related uncertainty. And that was amplified by the general election announcement.
Here in King's Cross, there are a few old signs still up. Carillion has been replaced on this project. Today we saw a mixture of regret, of shock and a bit of anger at how a company past fit in its own annual statement last March suffered a crippling profit warning 4 months later, and 6 months after that was liquidated. One thing everyone agrees on is the company had far too much debt, so when nasty surprises came along, the company was in no fit state to withstand them. Other projects are facing major delays. The Royal Liverpool Hospital was originally due to open this month. It may now not be ready before the end of next year. Were the bosses rewarded for these failures? Former Chief Executive Richard Howson was paid £1.5 million in salary, perks and bonuses in 2016.
Do you feel comfortable with the level of bonus you received in the year before the company that you ran collapsed?
Yes, I do, for the attributes that I earned it for. Half of that bonus is deferred and half of it was paid in cash.
There will be heated moments to come in this post-mortem, and there will be awkward ones.
Large numbers of people aren't going to get paid for their contracts. Other people have lost their jobs, and you are still all right. All of you, aren't you?
Simon Jack, BBC News.
Now, the highly paid former boss of Carillion admitted today that the company's collapse was his responsibility, but he also insisted it wasn't his fault. Ex-chairman Philip Green and several other executives were hauled before MPs to explain what had gone wrong. And between them, they took millions of pounds in salaries and bonuses when the company was already crippled with debt. The failure has led to many major public projects being shelved or delayed and left many firms unpaid. Here's our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan.
The new Royal Liverpool Hospital is 11 months late, and today the Trust announced that Carillion's collapse means the patients on Merseyside will have to wait still longer for their new hospital. Today, former Carillion bosses came to Parliament. They included Richard Howson, who'd continued to be paid handsomely by the company even after he'd quit.
Do you think you should
give some of your money back? MPs wanted to know what had gone wrong. They were offered contrition.
Could I just say how saddened I am by all of the events?
I too would like to say how deeply saddened and how sorry I am.
And what's your responsibility for this collapse?
Full and complete.
Total?
Total. Not necessarily culpability, but full responsibility, no question. And if I look back, of course there are things we'd have done differently.
And they offered an explanation for what went wrong.
The level of debt in the period 13 to 15 to 16 was too high. That would be my first explanation. The second explanation is the small number of contracts that went very badly wrong. And the third factor would be the inability to get the short-term financing in the middle of January.
Carillion had around 19,000 UK-based employees. Since its collapse, more than 800 have been made redundant, and its liquidation has left £900 million worth of debt and a £590 million pension deficit. Yet Richard Housen was awarded a £250,000 bonus in 2016.
Do you think that you should give your bonuses back, Mr Housen?
If it's proven that perhaps they shouldn't have been paid, then I'll abide by that decision.
Do you feel comfortable with the level of bonus you received in the year before the company that you ran collapsed?
Yes, I do, for the attributes that I earned it for.
Back in Liverpool, workers would like some of the boss's bonuses back.
That money should go back into the pot to help these workers who've had the rug pulled from them. Ultimately as well, the government needs to step in.
But whoever steps in, a lot of people will still be left out of pocket by Carillion's collapse. Carl Dinnan, ITV News.
Now, the former Carillion chairman, Philip Green, has admitted that he should take the blame for the firm's collapse, telling MPs that his responsibility was full and complete. As the Work and Pensions Committee grilled former directors, they blamed a range of issues, claiming they had no idea the company was about to collapse. But when asked why they had pocketed bonuses and dividends when employees faced job losses and creditors were unpaid, they had no answers. Our business editor, Siobhan Kennedy, has the story.
I too would like to say how deeply saddened and how sorry I am.
How saddened I am by all of the events.
I would say I am deeply sorry.
The chorus of regret from the men in charge at the once giant construction firm Carillion. Richard Adam, the former finance director, Richard Housen, its long-time chief executive, and chairman Philip Green, among 7 senior bosses at the helm of the company as it spectacularly expanded and even more spectacularly crashed.
Today the bosses were summoned here to Parliament to finally give their account, to explain how it is that a business that was signed off as healthy last March collapsed so catastrophically just 9 months later, leaving nearly £2 billion worth of debt and pension deficit, all the while paying bumper payouts to shareholders and millions of pounds worth of pay and bonuses to those in charge.
Mr Housen, will you give your bonuses back?
No.
Mr Housen, will you give any of your bonuses back or your salary?
I don't wish to make a comment, I'm sorry.
No comment?
No comment.
Do you want to say sorry to employees?
I said sorry to employees for what's happened.
And to pensioners?
Yep.
Are you responsible for what happened, Mr Housen? Are you responsible for what happened?
I certainly have some responsibility, that's for sure.
And you're saying sorry for that today, but will you commit to giving some of your bonus back? Between 2013 and 2016, when he was fired, Richard Housen walked away with a pay, bonus and pension pot worth more than £1 million a year. And a similar figure was taken home by his right-hand man, the finance director Richard Adam, who retired in 2016. But when asked by the joint chair of the committee if they should give some of that money back, they seemed unsure.
Do you think that you should give your bonuses back, Mr Housen?
Bonuses were awarded for specific things within the rules of the remuneration committee, and I think they have to, the awards that have been made have to be reviewed within those rules.
Do you feel comfortable with the level of bonus you received in the year before the company that you ran collapsed?
Yes, I do, for the attributes that I earned it for.
I will engage with the company.
You don't think, or do you think you should give the bonus back? Do you think you should give the bonus back?
I need to understand the position. I've been out of this business for over a year.
At the heart of Carillion's failure, the executive said, was a huge debt pile exacerbated by a string of complex construction deals going bad for hospitals here and projects in the Middle East. All of which was known, the MPs argued, before the company gave itself a clean bill of health last spring, signed off by its accountants KPMG. Mr Khan, what's your message for Carillion employees? This man, Zafar Khan, briefly became the finance director last year as the company's problems deepened, though at one point he insisted he had brought its debt down.
The sort of key priority for me was to get the debt down. And as I say...
But did you do that?
Yes, we did. We did. I mean, as a...
You are a CFO. You just said to Miss Allen that the debt went down. Did the debt go down, Mr Khan?
No, it didn't. No.
Oh, I just wondered because you said to Miss Allen that it did. It didn't, no?
No, it didn't.
Okay,
no.
Thank you.
MPs grew frustrated at the finger-pointing and buck-passing, although the chairman, Philip Green, did finally make this stark admission.
What's your responsibility for this collapse?
Full and complete.
Total?
Total.
Very good.
No.
All right, Ruth?
No question in my mind about that. Yeah. Not necessarily culpability, but full responsibility. No question.
But while he accepted responsibility, like the rest, he was silent when it came to pay and bonuses.
Other people have lost their jobs, and you are still all right. All of you, aren't you? Do any of you want to say anything before I thank you and close the meeting?
Will you say sorry to pensioners and sorry to staff? Mr. Green, do you have anything to say? By lunchtime, it was over. But questions over how Carillion's former executives can make amends still unanswered.
Siobhan Kennedy reporting there.